There is a power that does not scream, does not shout, and does not seek revenge. It is quiescent, and it is lethal. That power is growth. Not the kind of growth that demands applause, but the kind that is so undeniable it silences everything else. When you outgrow what was meant to hurt you, you destroy the very intention behind it. And when you rise so far above the noise loses its meaning. You don't have to raise your voice to prove your point. You don't have to strike back to prove your strength. You don't have to respond to every insult or get entangled in every trap they set. No, you simply rise. You evolve. You stretch yourself so far beyond the reach of those who tried to hold you down that they have no choice but to fall silent in the shadow of your transformation. It takes maturity to understand that not every action needs a reaction, that not every battle deserves your energy, that not every insult deserves your attention. When you begin to master this mindset, you begin to live differently, you begin to walk differently. Your silence becomes strategy. Your focus becomes armor, and your peace becomes the greatest sign of your strength. There are people in this world who thrive on your reaction. They poke, prod, they provoke, all because they want to know they still have influence over your emotions. But when you stop giving them that satisfaction, when you no longer flinch, when you no longer explain yourself, defend, or try to prove anything, something incredible happens. You take away their power. You don't defeat them by fighting them. You defeat them by forgetting them. You defeat them by rising into a version of yourself that makes their memory irrelevant. You defeat them by building such a powerful, purposeful life that even their name no longer echoes in your mind. Gift. That is the art of outgrowing. That is the silent destruction that leaves no trace, only legacy. People will talk. People will doubt. People will throw stones at anything that shines. That's just the nature of light. But the light never dims because of the opinions of the shadows. It shines anyway. It shines because that is its purpose. And when you understand that your purpose is bigger than their opinions, you stop shrinking to fit inside their expectations. Oh, you stop explaining your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop giving time to those who don't value yours. You stop trying to be enough for people who aren't even enough for themselves. You begin to understand that real strength is not in dominance, but in distance, in rising above, in stepping back from smallness so you can step into greatness. It is tempting to clap back, to show them you're not weak, to put them in their place with a few sharp words or a bold confrontation. But remember this, when you argue with someone who's committed to bringing you down, you've already stepped down to their level. When you engage in every fight, you exhaust your power, you dilute your focus. And in the process, you become reactive instead of intentional. But when you rise, when you step into the highest version of yourself, you create a kind of quiet destruction that words can never achieve. Because while they were busy watching you, trying to pull you down, you were busy building your craft, building your mind, your peace. And one day, without ever saying a word, your success screams what your voice never had to. There is a time in your life when you must choose elevation over validation, when you must decide that your growth is more important than their approval, that your healing matters more than their acceptance, that your destiny is too precious to be delayed by distractions. That is the moment you begin to rise. Let them laugh, let them doubt, let them say whatever they need to say to feel better about themselves. Because while they are speaking, you are growing. While they are mocking, you are maturing. And while they are looking backward, you are marching forward. You are not in competition with them. You are in competition with your past, with the version of you that once cared too much, responded too quickly, reacted too emotionally. That version is gone. And what's rising now is someone untouchable. People ask, how do I make them regret treating me that way? The answer is simply you don't. You become someone so whole, so fulfilled, so vibrant that they regret ever losing access to you. You become someone they can't reach anymore, not because you blocked them, but because you outgrew the space where they existed. You become untouchable not by isolating yourself in anger, but by insulating yourself with purpose. By surrounding yourself with goals so large that petty drama can't survive in their presence. You become someone who no longer reacts to poison because you've developed a taste for peace. And when you start to crave peace more than attention, more than revenge, more than validation, you've truly risen. There's something sacred about staying silent while you grow, about letting your results speak instead of your mouth, about showing the world what can happen when you stop explaining and start evolving. That's how you destroy doubt. That's how you destroy envy. That's how you destroy anything that once tried to diminish you, not by fighting it, but by transcending it. There are people who will never celebrate your growth. That's okay. Their applause is not your fuel. Let them be confused. Let them wonder how you keep winning when they tried to make you lose. Let them understand your glow while they sit in the dark. It's not your job to explain. It's your job to keep rising, to keep walking, to growing until even your presence becomes too high for their reach. Let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them guess, but never let them distract. Keep your head high and your focus higher, because in the end, the most poetic form of justice is elevation. When you rise so far that their words become meaningless, their hate becomes laughable, and their presence becomes irrelevant, you win. You win without war. You destroy without damage. You overcome without opposition. This is how you take back your power, not by arguing, by clapping back, not by stepping down to teach them a lesson. You take it back by stepping up. by creating something beautiful with your life, by mastering yourself, by growing so deeply and so boldly that you're no longer the same person who once flinched at their attacks. You become a mountain and they become wind. They blow, they scream, they push, but you do not move, because the mountain doesn't fear the wind. It simply stands unbothered, unshaken, unstoppable. And that is what you are becoming. Not just strong, but unmoved. Not just resilient, but elevated. You are stepping into a place where your peace is protected, your purpose is prioritized, and your energy is no longer up for grab. You're no longer available to the things that used to break you, because you have healed and ground, and now you have risen. So walk forward. Don't look back. Don't stop to explain. Don't shrink to fit. Keep growing. Keep evolving until the noise fades and the only sound left is the echo of your footsteps walking into destiny. Because when you outgrow what was meant to destroy you, you don't just survive. You win, and you do it all without ever lifting a finger. There will be moments in life when people question your worth, when they mock your dreams, minimize your value, and dismiss your vision. There will be times when your silence is mistaken for weakness and your humility is perceived as a lack of power. You will be misunderstood, underestimated, and overlooked, and yet that will ever define you. Because in those moments when the world expects you to break, your greatest weapon will not be your words. It will be your excellence. Excellence is not loud. It doesn't boast. It doesn't need to convince anyone of anything. Excellence simply shows up quietly, consistently, and powerfully. It speaks in results. It responds with action. It builds, creates, performs, and succeeds without ever uttering a single word of defense. And that is how you respond to those who try to bring you down. Not with rage, not with retaliation, but with relentless focus on your purpose. There are people in this world who will try to provoke you into reacting. They will insult you not because of who you are, but because of how they feel about themselves. They will throw dirt on your name, hoping you'll stop to clean it. But the wise never stoop down to fight with the bitter. The wise rise up not to prove anything, but to become everything they were meant to be. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain your journey to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. Your success is not a debate. It is a fact waiting to be written. And when you allow your work to speak, when you let your achievements shine, when you make your growth louder than your grief, you transform silence into power. People can ignore your words, twist your story, or doubt your dreams, but they can't deny your results. That's the beauty of excellence. It's undeniable. When you move with integrity, work with passion, and execute with precision, you make your presence so powerful that their opinions become irrelevant. You no longer need to shout when your life is already speaking so loudly. Every time you choose discipline over drama, you're responding with excellence. Every time you invest in your vision instead of seeking revenge, you're building something eternal. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when they said you couldn't, you are speaking volumes, not in their language of hate, but in the language of greatness. Understand this, the ones who try to destroy your spirit will never understand your spirit. They won't understand the long nights you've endured, the silent tears you've cried, the countless hours you've poured into your craft. They see the surface, but you don't see the roots, but you don't need their recognition. Oh, because you are not growing for them. You are growing for something far greater, for the calling inside of you that refuses to quit. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them assume. While they're busy criticizing, be busy creating. While they're spreading rumors, be spreading excellence. While they're wasting energy tearing others down, you be the one who builds. Because when the dust settles, when the noise fades, the only thing that will remain is what you've built and who you've become in the process. There's a certain kind of quiet strength in people who refuse to stoop to the level of their critics. They are not weak. They are wise. They know that energy is a currency and they refuse to spend it on foolish things. They know that the best revenge is never retaliation. It's transformation. The best clap back is a come up. The best way to silence the doubters is to do the very thing they said you could not. You don't need to defend yourself when your destiny is already defending you. The universe, the creator, life itself, it all rewards discipline, focus, and truth. Keep doing what you're called to do. Keep walking in integrity, even when no one sees it. Keep watering your garden, even when no one believes it will bloom. Because in time, the very people who mocked you will have no choice but to witness your harvest. Success built on bitterness crumbles, but success built on excellence stands the test of time. So build quietly, move silently, and when you arrive, do so with such grace and glory that no one can deny the journey you've taken. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your ambition. You don't need permission to chase your dreams. You are not here to convince the small-minded of your greatness. You are here to live it, breathe it, walk it. Let your character be your response. Let your consistency your reply. Let your resilience do the talking, because when you've mastered the art of excellence, you no longer need to speak your truth. It becomes visible in everything you do. There's a version of you that they don't see yet, a version so powerful, so polished, so unstoppable, that it will render their doubts meaningless. That version is being forged in silence. It is being built in the fires of discipline. And when it's ready, the world will not be able to ignore it. Peace. So hold your lane. Focus on your lane so deeply that everything else becomes a blur. Because those who are truly focused do not notice the distractions. They're too busy building something that lasts. They're too busy writing a legacy with the ink of effort and excellence. And what a legacy it will be. A legacy that says, I didn't waste time trying to prove my worth to people who couldn't see it. I didn't fight for attention. I worked for results. I didn't chase applause, chased alignment. I didn't speak loudly, I lived loudly. That is the legacy of someone who has learned the power of responding with excellence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is continue. Continue despite the judgment. Continue despite the whispers. Continue despite the weight of expectations. Because continuation itself is a form of victory. Every step forward is a declaration that you cannot be broken, that you will not stop, that you will rise above it all, not with noise, but with undeniable excellence. So if you're being tested, attacked, don't let it shake you. Let it sharpen you. Let it fuel your fire. Let it deepen your discipline. Because one day soon, your name will be mentioned in rooms your critics can't enter. Your work will reach places they can't touch. Your success will echo louder than any insult they ever threw. And when that day comes, don't lower yourself to say, I told you so. Simply smile, keep walking, rising. Because your success is not a message to them. It's a promise to yourself. A promise that you kept going when it was hard. That you believed when no one else did. That you stayed true when it would have been easier to fight back. This is your power. Not in vengeance. Not in shouting. But in glowing and growing. In becoming so undeniably excellent that the world is forced to respect what you've become, even if they never understood what it took to get there. Oh, they may have tried to dim your light, but you chose to shine anyway. They may have hoped you would give up, but you kept building. And now, you are unstoppable, not because of what they said, but because of what you did in response. So don't seek revenge, seek results. Don't prove your worth, live it. And let every insult, every doubt, every setback become fuel for your greatness. Respond with excellence, respond with grace. Respond with the quiet, unshakable power of someone who knows who they are, where they're going, and exactly what they're made of. And above all, remember this, when you let your success speak for you, the whole world listens. There is something deeply powerful about a person who walks through the noise of life without flinching. A person who moves with calmness when the world expects chaos. A person who smiles when others plot, who listens when others shout, and who stands firm when others stumble. That person is not weak, they are dangerous, because their silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. Their calm is not fear. It is control. Their unbothered nature is not ignorance. It is mastery. There is a level of growth that cannot be faked. A place where emotions no longer dictate your movements. Where your peace is no longer up for debate. Where you're not pulled into every petty conflict or baited by every opinion. You reach a place where your silence says more than 1,000 words ever could. That's where power begins, not in noise and stillness, not in fury, but in focus. Staying silent is not about hiding. It's about observing. It's about choosing your battles wisely. It's about recognizing that not everything deserves your voice. Not every argument deserves your fire. Not every comment deserves your reaction. When you become comfortable with silence, you stop giving away your power. You stop letting others control your energy. You learn that most people just want a reaction, any reaction, so they can feel powerful. But when you don't give it to them, you starve their control. You protect your throat. They say still waters run deep. And that's the truth. The most dangerous people are not the ones who talk the loudest or react the fastest. The most dangerous people are the ones who move in silence, observe everything and reveal nothing, who understand their power and don't need to announce it. They don't waste energy proving anything to anyone. They simply become undeniable. There's a difference between being loud and being strong. Noise is cheap. Anyone can shout. Anyone can rant, rage, gossip, and complain. But it takes discipline to remain silent in the midst of chaos. It takes courage to go of the need to be understood by those who will never understand you. It takes wisdom to recognize that silence is often louder than anything you could ever say. People will test you. They will try to shake you. They will push every button hoping to get a response. And the old version of you might have responded. But not anymore, because you've learned, you've grown, you've mastered the art of being unbothered. Now, you protect your peace like a fortress. You move like a shadow, present, powerful, and untouchable. It doesn't mean you're soft. It means you're strategic. You no longer fight battles that don't matter in the long run. You no longer argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. No longer chase validation from those who don't even value themselves. You've reached a point where silence is your superpower. You don't react, you respond. And most of the time, that response is simply walking away. Staying unbothered doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've stopped allowing emotions to dictate your actions. Still care, you still love, you still hurt. But you do it all with grace, with balance, with control. You've stopped being reactive, and that makes you a force to be reckoned with. Because now, no one can shake what you've built on the inside. The most powerful people in history didn't waste their time on arguments. They didn't scream for attention. They didn't seek revenge. They stayed focused. They stayed patient. And when the time came, they made moves so strong, so bold, and so impactful that the world had no choice but to take notice. That's the kind of power silence brings. It turns the unpredictable into the unstoppable. When you stay unbothered, you reclaim your time, your energy, you reclaim your purpose. You stop playing in the mud with people who have no intention of growing. You stop explaining yourself to people who only want to argue. You stop giving your light to people who are addicted to darkness. That's not pride. That's wisdom. That's self-respect. That's power. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to argue to be right. You don't have to react to every low blow thrown your way. Sometimes the best response is none at all. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is your silence, because it tells the world, I am not moved. I am not triggered. I am not yours to manipulate. That's what makes you dangerous. Your fists, not your rage, not your words. What makes you dangerous is your ability to hold your ground without losing your peace. Your ability to look chaos in the face and stay composed. Your ability to keep moving forward without being distracted by the noise behind you. The world tries to teach us that being loud is being strong. But the real ones know true strength is quiet. It's in the person who stays silent while building empires. It's in the one who's underestimated because they never brag and then shocks everyone when they win. It's in the soul that's been through storms but still walks with grace. You don't have to announce your plans. Let your results do the talking. You don't have to expose your enemies. Let their own actions destroy their reputation. You don't have to scream your worth. Let your consistency make them feel your absence when you finally walk away. That's how the silent win. That's how unbothered conquer. That's how the dangerous rise. When you become someone who no longer reacts, you become someone who cannot be controlled. When you become someone who no longer explains, you become someone who cannot be manipulated. And when you become someone who no longer cares what they think, you become someone who is finally free. You are not here to be a performer in someone else's chaos. You are here to build, to grow, to elevate. You are here to protect your peace like a crown, to carry your silence like a sword, to move with so much inner strength that you leave people wondering how you stay so calm in a world full of noise. So stay silent. Let them think what they want. Stay unbothered. Let them create their stories. Stay dangerous. Let your progress speak in volumes they never expected to hear. Because the truth is, when you're truly focused on your goals, you're healing your future. Everything else becomes background noise. You don't have time to be dragged into drama. You're too busy becoming legendary. Every time you choose peace over pettiness, you rise. Every time you choose silence over shouting, you evolve. Every time you let your work speak louder than your emotions, you step further into your power. And every time you walk away from what no longer serves you, become more of who you're meant to be. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them doubt. While they waste energy trying to trigger you, you use that same energy to transform. And one day, when you walk into a room glowing with success, they'll realize that the dangerous one in the room was never the loudest. It was the one who sat back, observed, smiled, and won. So walk like your silence is a storm. Breathe like your peace is sacred. Move like your steps are guided. And carry yourself like someone who knows exactly what they're capable of, even if no one else does, because you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to shout to be strong. You don't need to fight to win. Just stay silent, stay unbothered, and stay dangerous. There comes a moment in every life when you realize the revolutionary thing you can dog is to shine, not to compete, not to compare, not to ask for permission, but to stand in your truth and let your light pour from every corner of your being, to step into your purpose so boldly that your very presence becomes impossible to ignore. That's when you begin to understand you don't need to fight for attention. When you shine, it finds you. But make no mistake, shining isn't easy, especially in a world that tries to dim you, especially when people are more comfortable with your silence than your success. The moment you begin to rise, you'll see the true thing: not everyone celebrates your glow. Some people will question it, some will resent it, and some will do everything they can to cast shadows over it. But none of that matters, because your light is not for their comfort. It's for your calling. You weren't created to fit in. You weren't created to stand out. You were created to illuminate, to spark something in others simply by being what you are. And if that makes people uncomfortable, let them adjust. You don't shrink so others can feel tall. You don't hide just so others can feel safe. You walk into the room as who you are, with purpose, with grace, and with unapologetic brilliance. Let them look, let them whisper, let them wonder how you do it, how you keep glowing despite the battles you've faced. Because real light doesn't come from ease, it comes from endurance. It comes from every moment you chose not to give up, every night you cried in silence and still rose in the morning, every time you were underestimated and still delivered excellence. That's the light they see, and that's the light they'll never be able to extinguish. When you shine, you become a mirror. You reflect what others aren't willing to see in themselves. That's why some people resist your light. It reveals their shadows. It exposes their insecurities. Oh, but that's not your burden to carry. Your only job is to keep glowing, to keep growing, to keep rising. You don't owe anyone dimness for their comfort. You owe the world your full illumination. So let them talk. Let them misjudge you. Let them question your worth. Because while they're focused on your shine, they're standing still in the dark. And you're moving, you're building, you're evolving, you're walking in alignment with something far greater than their opinions. That's the secret they'll never understand. You're not shining for validation. You're shining for vision. You don't have to announce your greatness. Just be great. You don't have to prove your value. Just live it. Your glow will do the talking. Your character will do the explaining. Your results will make them listen. And when they finally see you standing in a light so powerful that it leaves them speechless, they'll realize nothing they said, nothing they did could stop you from becoming who you were meant to be. That's real power. Not revenge, bitterness, but elevation. Becoming so good, so true to yourself, so focused on your mission that the people who once dismissed you have no choice but to respect your journey. You don't have to force it. Just keep working, keep showing up, keep being excellent, because one day soon they won't be able to look away. There is no joy like walking fully in your light. The peace it brings, the freedom it carries, the strength it gives. And once you taste that kind of authenticity, you'll never again dim yourself to make others feel more comfortable. You'll stop apologizing for dreaming big. You'll stop holding back because of someone else's small-mindedness. You'll finally understand your light is your power. And that light, your uniqueness, your energy, your passion, it was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to lead, to inspire, to awaken. Somewhere is waiting for the light you carry. And every time you choose to shine, you give someone else permission to do the same. That's how light spreads, not through noise, but through example. Keep shining even when it's lonely, even when you feel unseen, even when the world tries to overlook your brilliance. Because light does not ask for attention. It demands it by simply being what it is. And over time, the glow becomes undeniable. The presence becomes magnetic. The influence becomes unstoppable. You see, you don't have to dim others to shine. Your light doesn't compete, it complements. And anyone who feels threatened by your growth was ever aligned with your journey to begin with. Real ones will never ask you to shrink. They'll celebrate your expansion. They'll fuel your fire. They'll reflect your brilliance back to you. Surround yourself with those people and keep walking. You will outgrow many people when you begin to shine. That's okay. Growth's at this separation. Evolution is elevation, and not everyone is meant to come with you. Some were there to teach you the cost of dimming. Some were there to remind you what it feels like to be small. But now you rise. Now you step into the version of yourself that doesn't just survive, but thrives. Let your light make them uncomfortable. Let your consistency frustrate their laziness. Let your integrity challenge their games. Let your joy irritate their bitterness. You don't need to fix how they feel. You just need to stay lit. Stay true. Stay brilliant. Because when you do that long enough, even the people who once doubted you will be forced to face the glow. Don't be afraid to shine too brightly. Be afraid of dimming your fire to fit into places you've already outgrown. Be afraid of trading your passion for their comfort. Be afraid of betraying your potential just to be accepted. Your future deserves more than that. Your calling deserves more than that. This person is a fit. Your soul deserves more than that. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't born to be background noise. You weren't born to live in the shadows of other people's opinions. You were born to light the way, to set a standard, to rise so high that even those who tried to hold you down must lift their eyes just to see where you've gone. That is your calling. That is your power. That is your light. And here's the true thing. Once you truly start to shine, it's over for every limitation they tried to put on you. It's over for the doubts, the fears, the false stories they told about who you are. Because now your light has become your story. Your success has become your voice. Your presence has become your proof. So shine, not just for the world, but for yourself, for every version of you that once hid, every dream you almost gave up on, for every dark place you walked through alone, for every moment you thought about quitting but didn't. Shine for that person. Oh, because that person is still inside of you, and that person deserves to be seen. You've earned your light, you've earned your peace, you've earned your moment. So step into it fully, boldly, unapologetically. Let your light reach every room, every space, every heart it was meant to touch. Because no matter what they say, when you shine that bright, they can't look away. There is a moment in your life when you stop trying to impress people and start trying to impact the world. When you stop living for their applause and start living for your assignment, that's the moment everything changes. That's the moment you stop reacting to pain and start responding to purpose. And that right there is the ultimate revenge. Living with purpose doesn't mean everything becomes easy. It means everything becomes clear. It means you no longer chase attention. You chase alignment. You no longer seek validation. You seek vision. You no longer fight battles for ego. You fight for impact. And the more you walk in purpose, the less noise you hear from people who no longer matter. Because here's the truth. The world will try to distract you with drama. It will try to tempt you into battles that don't belong to you. It will wave petty arguments, fake friends, critics, and chaos in front of you like flashing lights. And every second you waste reacting to those things is a second stolen from the life you were born to build. You want to get back at those who betrayed you. Build something they can never break. You want to silence the people who doubted you. Walk so fully in your calling that your life becomes louder than their words. You want to respond to the hate, the pain, the rejection. Respond. But don't respond with noise. Respond with purpose. Because purpose doesn't just heal you, it transforms you. It lifts you above the games. It detaches you from the need to clap back. It frees you from the desire to prove anything. It roots you so deeply in something greater that your focus becomes your protection. Your peace becomes your power. And your mission becomes your fuel. You're not here to survive people's opinions. You're here to fulfill a destiny. You're not here to shrink for their comfort. You're here to expand into your greatness. And you don't do that by looking back. You don't do that by getting even. You do it by going higher, by becoming the version of you they said was impossible, the version that is undeniable. When you live with purpose, you no longer need revenge, because purpose does something better. It builds a life so strong, so radiant, so powerful that it renders your enemies irrelevant, not because you hate them, not because you hurt them, but because you no longer carry them. You've outgrown the weight. You've released the pain. You've turned the wound into wisdom. People who walk in purpose don't beg for closure. They don't chase apologies. They don't sit around waiting for justice to arrive on someone else's schedule. They become the closure. They create the healing. They embody the justice. Every step they take forward is proof that nothing thrown at them worked. You don't have to explain your success. Just live it. You don't have to argue about your growth. Just keep growing. Let your life become a monument of meaning. Let your consistency answer their questions. Let your peace confuse their chaos. That's how you win. Not by fighting back, but by living forward. There is nothing more terrifying to those who tried to break you than watching you become unbreakable. Nothing more painful to those who walked away than realizing they left before your breakthrough. And nothing more humbling to those who mocked you than seeing you rise in silence with no hate in your heart, just purpose in your soul. Purpose is not a path you find by accident, it's chosen. Every day in every decision, in every moment you choose progress over pettiness. Every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every morning you rise with determination instead of resentment. That is purpose. That is power. That is what sets you apart. Let them wonder why you're not responding. Let them question your silence. Let them gossip while you grind. Because while they're wasting time creating noise, you're creating legacy. While they're posting, you're planning. While they're mocking, you're mastering. And soon enough, they won't be able to ignore the results of your purpose-driven life. You see, when you walk in purpose, you become unpredictable. You no longer react the way they expect. You no longer fall into their traps. You don't fight to be seen. You become so impactful, they have no choice but to notice. And the moment they realize they no longer have access to your energy, your emotions, your presence, that's the moment you've already won. Your purpose is the table they can't sit at, the light they can't dim, the story they can't rewrite. You're not where you started. You're not who you used to be. And your future is not up for discussion. It's already in motion. You're building something bigger than revenge. You're building a legacy. You weren't created to exist in cycles of pain. You were created to transform that pain into power, to use every lesson as a ladder, to let the heartbreak make you softer, the betrayal make you wiser, the silence make you stronger. You were created to rise, not in spite of what happened, but because of it. So stop looking backward. Stop trying to make them see your worth. Stop giving them free space in your mind. That space belongs to vision now, to strategy, to ideas, to execution. That space belongs to something higher. The most beautiful revenge is not proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. It's waking up each day and choosing to keep going even when it's hard. It's becoming so whole, so free, so fulfilled that they no longer recognize you. Not because you changed for them, but because you finally became the person you were meant to be. And when that happens, when you live with such clarity and conviction that nothing can shake you, they'll feel it. Not through your words, not through your anger, but through your presence, through your light, through the reality that you made it without them, without bitterness, without breaking. So live with fire, live with focus, live with grace, live so boldly, so beautifully, so intentionally that your very life becomes the answer to every insult, every rejection, every lie. Live with purpose, because that is the kind of revenge that doesn't expire. It grows, it expands, it echoes. The world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs a clear one, a voice anchored in something real. And when you live in your truth, you become that voice. Not by shouting, but by showing up every single day with integrity, with excellence, with purpose. Your purpose is not just for you, it's for everyone watching you, for every person you'll inspire even unknowingly, for every life your courage will touch. You don't need to destroy anyone, just live so intentionally, so unapologetically, so purposefully that their attempts to destroy you become meaningless. That's the ultimate revenge. That's how you rise, that's how you win.